Thank you for tuning in again for our great program of SCLC today. Basically, we're talking about our 63rd annual convention. Of course, we've been in business for 65 years. Wow, that's been a long time, and we have a lot of more work to do for the next 100 years. Yeah, you're going to be here, and I'm going to be here too. If not physically, we'll be here in the spirit. We want to know, well, first of all, we want to let you know that the right to vote, the fight for justice, that's our theme. And that should be our theme every year in all civil rights organizations, all human rights organizations and concerns should be geared toward the right to vote and the fight for justice. It's a constant fight, ladies and gentlemen. At our prep breakfast, you can join us. It's going to be virtual for most of the convention, all the rest of the convention. But you can join us live in person in terms of the breakfast. In our breakfast kickoff, you can join us on all of our social media outlets. Join us, and we guarantee you it's going to be great. You know, for our prep breakfast, first of all, we're going to have our chairman of the board, none other than Dr. Bernard Lafayette. Dr. Lafayette, who worked very diligently with Dr. King and other organizations in the civil rights movement, one of the co-founders of SNCC as well. But he was delegated by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in terms of the Poor People campaign to lead that march with him. And as you know, Dr. King was assassinated preparing for the Poor People campaign. We're going to have our chief of staff, none other than DeMark Liggins, who will bring about the welcoming and opening prayer. Prayer is very important, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to know that. By the way, I just left Cleveland, Ohio, and before we got started, my good friend, Reverend Hilton Smith said, Steele, you know, we got to have prayer and scripture, got to have the Lord in the middle of this. So coming back from Cleveland, we got this spirit. We're going to have the prayer and the welcoming from our chief of staff. Been with me for over 10 years, DeMar Liggins. And after that, we're going to have songs and greetings, of course, and the introduction of the speaker. Guess what? The guest speaker will be Bishop Dr. Jack Bowman, who's the pastor himself in terms of Hillside International Truth Center. Going to be in person. And the pastor will be our keynote speaker. But guess what? We're also going to have the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who just left Cleveland, Ohio with me. We've been on a lot of speaking engagements together here in the last few months. And I thank Reverend Jackson for wanting to be with us in SCLC. He said, Steele, don't forget, I'm SCLC. I came out of SCLC. And I also spoke for him at his convention back here in June. What a great convention he had as well. But we're going to recognize none other than our good friend, Reverend Dr. Cavaness, who's leading the movement in Cleveland, Ohio, in terms of Sherwin-Williams and the projects that we're doing. That's what we was talking about in Cleveland, Ohio. That's why Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson, met us and supported us in Cleveland just a few days ago. On the spur of the moment, I attended, as well as Reverend Jackson. We just had a great turnout there with the people there in Cleveland. But Reverend Dr. E.T. Cavaness will be our Courageous Presidential Award recipient. We also will have some great opportunities to recognize our chairman of the board, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, and many and several other people will be recognized. But this is a great opportunity for you to come out. And if you can't come out and get in, because the tickets are selling very expeditiously, moving toward a closeout of sales. But I want you to know you can join us. It's going to be in person, going to be live at the International Truth Center at Hillside for the breakfast. Hillside International Truth Center. We're going to have our breakfast. And ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be dynamite. It's going to be awesome. But also, watch our total convention on virtual, and you can watch the breakfast in person and live. What's going to be at the convention still? Talking about the right to vote, the fight for justice. It's always a fight. I just left L.A., just left Bridgeport, Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut, meeting with the mayors and the civic leaders. Pastor McCluster himself, our good friend and affiliate there in terms of Bridgeport, Connecticut, working with us in terms of New York City. We're there in New York City. Matter of fact, I'm scheduled to be in New York City again on the 23rd, right after the convention. I'm scheduled to be in New York. People are just all excited about the information that they are getting about where do we go from here. Not just in America, not just in certain cities, but throughout the world. And we're talking about the right to vote, the fight for justice. And as Dr. King so profoundly mentioned, that America got to wake up. We cannot allow this type of treatment and disenfranchisement of people who you are looked down upon for over 400 years, people of color, poor people, people in general who's not a part of the higher echelon within this country. And I always talk about the sacrifice that Dr. King made. He was not even supposed to be in Memphis. He was working on the Poor People Campaign. But when I was out in L.A. just 2 weeks ago with none other than Reverend Jim Lawson, had a great time. And his recognition, and thank you to none other than our great leader himself, Mr. Tavis Smiley, for inviting me, and Reverend Smart, our local chapter president, who's doing a great job. Reverend Smart, we appreciate you, man. People in L.A. love you. And we had a great victory there. Won't go into that now. Don't have the time. But you keep doing what you're doing. And thank you, Mr. Tavis Smiley, for inviting me and sharing the celebration of SCLC in Los Angeles. Hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about none other Mr. Tommy Deutsch for the 100 Black Men. Had us down in Hollywood, Florida, right outside of Fort Lauderdale. And what a great convention the 100 Black Men had. And also the people that are accompanying us in the debate and the issues, Ms. Melanie Campbell and other, Ms. Zanona Clayton. You know I love y'all. And also the former Attorney General himself, Mr. Eric Holder, was there. And we all talked about the issues. Ladies and gentlemen, SCLC and the civil rights community will never give up. We're here to do what we can to bring about justice and equality, and permanently to bring about a global solution to the problem of the global village. The global village. We cannot forget about this. Is a worldwide issue of concern that we must get involved. And we're going to debate this, and we're going to talk about this, and it will be mentioned at our convention as well. So get ready, fasten your seatbelt. We're going to bring about a global concern. You can't forget about Ukraine and the people throughout the world. They're looking for the spirit of Dr. King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference organization to lead them and let them know what's the next move, what's the next step. I'm going to say this, and I'll close out. Not to forget, just a few years ago before his passing, Prime Minister Ariel Sharon invited me along with others, and I've been there many times, to the state of Israel. And he said, Steele, the reason I'm inviting you and letting the people know throughout the world that the leadership of Dr. King and SCLC is what we're dependent upon. He said, we know who the chosen folks are. And he looked directly at me and said, you all are the ones. Have a great day. Have a great day and a better day, because love is what love does. And we love you. Godspeed.
President Dr. Charles Steele Jr., First Lady Kathleen Steele, Chairman Dr. Bernard Lafayette, and the SCLC family invites you to the 63rd Annual Convention of the National SCLC. It's The Right to Vote, the Fight for Justice, Thursday, July 21st and Friday, July 22nd. Come to the live in-person prayer breakfast Thursday morning at Hillside International Truth Center in Atlanta, and then enjoy the remaining festivities, including our 2022 honoree tributes, virtually on the SCLC Convention website. It's The Right to Vote, the Fight for Justice, July 21st and 22nd, the 63rd Annual Convention of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. For more information, visit nationalsclc.org.